All right, hello everyone. Apologies in advance for the sound quality, which I expect to be even worse than usual as I forgot to bring a headset. It's October 10th, and once again, I'm not at home. This time I'm in Brussels. I'm here for a 2-day work thing, so another hotel room, clean place, reasonably priced. No, scratch that. Not reasonably priced, because holy crap, Brussels is an expensive city. Except the beer, which me and my colleagues discovered earlier this evening. Anyway, in this video, I'll give you some random thoughts with regards to my reread of the Bonehunters, Book 6 of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. And this was a bit unexpected. After my first read through a couple of years ago, this was one of the books that I considered a candidate for being the best in the series. Top 3, I think I had it. Upon a reread, well, let's just say I don't expect it to be a top contender when I finish the series a second time around. And I'm guessing this video will be me trying to figure out why that is the case. I'm thinking the first time around I was very much blinded by all the Yagathan stuff and everything that went down in Malacity. And this time around I paid more attention to all the stuff that goes on in between. And I guess my main problem with this book is best explained by Erickson himself. In an interview, and I think this was on the 10 Very Big Books podcast, he described the Bonehunters as 2 novels smashed together at high velocity. I do think the first part, up until and including the second battle of Yagathan, clearly works as a novel or a subset of a novel. So that works, whereas the rest of the book is almost not a novel. That is too harsh, of course, but I'm exaggerating a bit here to make a point. Because after reading this a second time around, I come away from it feeling as if I've read bits and pieces from various storylines, but with a lack of focus, in a sense. In all the previous books, the overarching plot has been rather clear. And this is something I like about the Malazan books, that each book has its own purpose, its own voice, mood, a central conflict. All of that is a bit lacking here once you get past the Yagathan stuff. I need to get some more negativity out of the way while I'm at it. The whole storyline with the Crocus and crew was not the most intriguing. The whole thing with Paran defeating Pulail using hounds of both shadow and darkness, I do not get how that went down, and I don't know why. I've read the book twice now. I've read the wiki and the Tor reread, and I still don't understand the purpose of that story or how it played out. Anyway, let's move on to the good stuff, because it's a book of the Malazan in the Malazan series, and there are plenty of mind-blowing awesomeness going on here. So first of all, the 2 of my favorite chapters in this entire series, and thereby in any fantasy I've read, are in this book. First, of course, the Yagathan chapter. The chapter, as it's called among the fandom. No surprises there. I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said. Everything that goes on beneath the city is obviously amazing. But this time around, knowing what was going to happen, the build-up may have been even better. My heart kind of skipped a beat every time that damned oil was mentioned, and also at the end of the chapter, the ending is just pitch perfect. A release of all the tension that's been building up when Fiddler ends the chapter by saying, "For Hood's sake, Gessler, I've never been in better hands." Which brings me to Korab, who really grew on me in this book, from a very, very entertaining side character to one of the the best of the entire series. Well, an additional favorite in a whole pile of favorite characters. But yeah, really interesting story arc, really interesting character development there. Speaking of important favorite characters, I did not pay enough attention to Bottle on my first read-through. I do now, though. Not much more to add regarding Bottle. I just needed to mention that he's just a great one. So I said I had two of my favorite chapters of the series here. The first one was the Yagathan, and you may assume that the second chapter I want to bring up is Kalam and Tamber helping Tavor reach the docks of Mala City. But it isn't. I've mentioned it before. Fight scenes, no matter how well written, tend to bore me, and that's a personal preference. It's not a judgment on the author. No, instead, my favorite chapter, maybe even surpassing Yagathan this time around, in large part because I'd kind of forgotten about it. And I'm talking about I think it was chapter 22, which should be the chapter before Kalam and Tamber's epic fight in the night. It's a chapter with Fiddler running his game with a deck of dragons, and the one where Tavor meets Lasine and Malik Rel in Mook's Hold. I read this on my e-reader on my tablet, and the atmosphere was it was so tense that I was very careful when I tapped the screen on my e-reader to turn the page because I was afraid the screen would crack. I mean, assassins and sword fights and Moranth munitions and flying castles in the sky and dragons be damned. People sitting around the table talking to each other. That's my kind of action. What else do I have in my notes? I just finished book 6 and I still haven't even mentioned Fiddler. He deserves more than that. Just know that I believe that Fiddler is the heart and soul of this series, or at least he is the character that anchors me as the reader to everything else that's going on. If I need to pick one character, seriously, if I have to pick one character in the Malazan books of the Fallen, it would be Fiddler. Right, so let's get back on track. Yeah, okay, Apsalar. On this reread, I found myself strangely attached to her. Not only in this book, but yeah, in the entire series. Even though I never really bought a romance with Crocus/Cutter, but her journey with Cotillion is just great. And now Teleras and Curdle, of course, enters the storyline, and I can't wait to read more about her. Of course, I get to read one of my favorite exchanges of insults in this entire genre. You know what I'm referring to. Don't pretend you don't know what I'm talking about if you have read these books and also are for some reason watching this channel. There aren't many of you, but I appreciate every view I get. Some interesting quotes. This one was interesting. This is Tavor to Blistig after Blistig by accident having kind of insulted Tavor in front of a lot of people. And afterwards he realizes this and he goes to apologize. And Tavor says, "One day I shall call upon you, Blistig, to voice it again, but not to me, rather to your soldiers." Now on a reread, that's kind of foreshadowing. Maybe it's the wrong word, but I mean, reading that, it's hard not to think about all the stuff that will go on go down in the Glass Desert in a few books' time. A really fun exchange here between Quickben and Kalam. I'm gonna paraphrase it and cut some stuff out just for clarity here, but Kalam asks Quickben, "What was it like among all those bones and bodies and stuff?" And I think he's referring to when Quickben hid amongst the bodies at Hood's Gate. Anyway, Quickben replies, "Kind of comforting." After a short inner monologue, Kalam replies, "Quick, you and me?" "Yes, I think we're insane. Yeah, I can agree with that. Really. Um, and finally, another quote here, relevant for certainly very relevant for our world in our time. Maybe it's always been like this. I don't know. This is from Lacine to Tavor. Have you not yet observed, Tavor, that in the minds of the people in this empire, truth is without relevance? It has lost its power. It no longer affects change, and indeed, the very will of the people, born of fear and ignorance, the very will, as I said, can in turn revise those truths, can transform, if you like, the lies of convenience into faith, and that faith in turn is not open to challenge. And on that note, I've reached the end of my notes. So it's getting late here in Brussels. I'll get to bed soon and keep reading Reaper's Gale. I'm about a third into that one. Anyway, find a mule to kill and see you next time.